What's up, guys? My name is Jerry, and today's video is going to be on the Detroit Pistons, and we're going to be talking about how this team will be box office next season, and we're going to jump right into the video. Now, the Detroit Pistons have been rebuilding for the last couple of years, and we all know how hard it is to be a fan of a team when they're in their rebuilding process, from blown leads to getting blown out, or sometimes your team might just run a lineup and you have no idea who any of the guys are on the court. And I can say, as a Detroit Pistons fan, we've experienced all three of those things over the last 2, 3, 4 years. But I can say all of that is about to change, because I think the Detroit Pistons have all of the elements to be box office. And I think the most important element to have is that you must have a star. You must have somebody that the fans want to come see, and I think they have that in Jaden Cunningham. And Jaden is a developing young star in this league, and I think he has the potential to one day be a superstar. When I say a superstar, I mean a top 5 player in the NBA. I think Jaden Cunningham can become that, and already in his rookie season, I thought he was very entertaining to watch, and I love tuning in to watch Jaden Cunningham in the Pistons. And what I noticed from Jaden in his rookie season, as the season started to go on and on, he has this rare skill that only a handful of NBA players have. He has the ability to control the game. And when I say control, I'm talking about the tempo. And he just knew when to speed the game up, getting out on the fast break or opening up transition. And then he also knew when to slow the game down and start to play in the half court. And I think him, with his size and being able to play the point guard position, that's going to make him such a great basketball player. And then also, what made him so fun to watch is that he's very talented. He can do it all on offense. Starting, I think he's a 3-level scorer, or he's going to be one in his NBA career. In his rookie season, he showed the ability to knock down the 3-ball, both off the catch and off the dribble. He could also pick his spots in the mid-range. He could pull up and knock down a midi, and then also he could score around the rim in so many different ways. He could go in the post, he could fade out of the post, and then also he could get to the rim and finish with both hands, and he can dunk on people. So Jaden Cunningham can do it all when it comes to scoring. And then also, what makes him so dangerous as an offensive player is his playmaking ability. We've seen Jaden Cunningham make so many of the right reads in every type of offensive situation. We've seen him get out in transition and create plays with his passing. We've seen him do it in the pick and roll, throwing to the roll man or hitting a shooter out of the pick and roll set. And then also, whenever he got double teamed, he know which play to make. So Jaden Cunningham is great offensively, and then also he locks in on the defensive side of the ball as well. He has great length, he has great size, and then he has some lateral quickness, and he wants to play defense. So Jaden Cunningham, he's going to be the start for the Detroit Pistons when it comes to those elements of being box office. Now, the next element we're going to be looking at when it comes to being box office, I don't know about you guys, but when I watch or go to an NBA game, I love to see high flyers, and we know how electrifying those dunks can be for the crowd. In this year's NBA draft, I think the Pistons got themselves 2 high flyers. I think they got one in Darren, and then they also got another one in Jaden Ivy. And I want to look more specifically at Jaden Ivy. I think in his draft class, he was by far the most athletic player. When you combine his speed with the ability to jump off the ground, I don't think no other player comes close. And then just watching him at Purdue, every dunk he did was just electrifying, no matter if it was one hand, two hand, catching a lob, or dunking off 1 foot or both feet. Every dunk he did just seemed amazing to witness. And what I like about Jaden Ivy is that his game just does not stop at his athleticism. He's going to be so entertaining to watch in a lot of different aspects of the game. And I think what sets him apart from all the other guards is that he is so in control of his athleticism. Usually when we see a player possess the athleticism that Jaden Ivy has, a lot of times they can play out of control, and we can see them make some mistakes. And I rarely ever see that from Jaden Ivy, and I think this is what makes him so dangerous. Watching him in college, he just did a lot of changing his pace so much. We could see him wait until the defender fall asleep, and then he used that elite first step to get to the rim. So I think that part of his game is going to make him so dangerous. And also, he's good with the basketball in his hands. He can break a defender down and get to the rim. He's so good at contorting his body to make crazy layups. And then also, he just has that ability to just dunk right through you. He's also a great playmaker. He can make some passes out of the pick and roll. Then I also see him being effective without the basketball in his hands as a cutter, coming off screens. And there's so many things that he can do with the basketball. I think he's going to make a lot of plays for the Pistons. And then the other high flyer, Darren. Now, when he dunks the ball, we see it in college. We see him in the summer league. When he dunks that ball, the rim be shaking for at least 2 more possessions. And I might be over exaggerating there, but that's what it seems like. But he is so strong and he dunks the ball with such force. And then Darren also runs the floor. So could you imagine a fast break with Cunningham, Jaden Ivy, and Darren? That is going to be such a fun thing to see. And I could see them making a lot of crazy highlights this upcoming season. And then also Darren, he has a lot more to his game other than dunking. He's a great defender. He can guard both players in the pick and roll. He can switch out onto a guard and force them into a bad shot or a turnover. And then he's also disruptive in the pick and roll. He does a great job of getting away of both bounce passes and lob passes. So he does a great job at playing defense, great shot blocker. And then offensively, he's not just a dunker. You can throw him the ball down in the post. He has an array of moves that he can use. And then he also has a soft touch and he can step out and knock down the mid-range. So I think Darren and Jaden Ivy are both going to be very entertaining next season. Now, another element I think is important when it comes to being box office, I think you must have an enforcer. And I think the Detroit Pistons have that in Isaiah Stewart. Now, when we talk about an enforcer and what that means, I'm talking about a guy that comes in and sets the tone, not only for the crowd, but for the rest of his teammates. And what I love about Isaiah Stewart is that he plays the game with no fear. We've seen him stand up to multiple NBA players, even guys like LeBron James, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Blake Griffin. When he played against the Pistons the first time after leaving, Isaiah Stewart was not being nice to him at all, and I love that about him. He fears no man. And then also on the court, the little things that he does, especially with him being undersized for his position, I think it electrifies the crowd. And once again, it electrifies his teammates. But on the court, we see him fighting so hard for positioning on rebounds on both the offensive and defensive glass. We see him get putbacks and tip-ins. And then also, he does the even smaller things. He dives for loose balls. And then he also sets screens that really help out his teammates. And then he's not just an enforcer. I think he's a really solid basketball player, and he's making steady progress. And I think he's so underrated on the defensive side of the ball. Now, we all know he has solid paint defense and he can block shots. But what I like about Beef Stew is that I think he's a versatile defender. And in pick and roll situations, when the Pistons have to switch, I think Isaiah Stewart does a great job on the perimeter and stand in front of those smaller guys. And then offensively, he's been working so hard on his 3-point shot. At the end of last season, he closed out the season shooting 11 of 18 from the 3-point line, and then he's carried that over into the summer league. And we all know if Beef Stew can become a player that can knock down just wide open threes, the Detroit Pistons are going to be a completely different team. And then also around the post, or I should say in the post, he's gotten a lot better. He's developed that baby hook, and he's just gotten a lot better at finishing around the rim. So they have an enforcer in Beef Stew. And then we look at the rest of the Pistons roster. I think it's just filled with guys who love to play the game of basketball, and they play with a lot of heart. And then we look at what Saddiq Bey is doing this offseason. Took a Detroit Pistons trainer with him to the mountains, and they're training in higher altitude situations. Like, that's crazy. That's how much he loves the game and how much he wants to get better. And I just see the Detroit Pistons being so fun to watch next season. I think they're going to make a lot of noise. And I think as the season go on and on, those stands are going to be starting to get more filled, and I'm definitely going to go to as many games as possible. But if you enjoyed this video, leave a like, comment down below if you think the Pistons are ready to be box office, and then subscribe for more weekly content. We do this all the time, man, and that's curtains.